Richard Hooper, and this is SatTV. Now, I'm pleased to be joined by John Tremblay, Vice President of R&D for Satcom products in CPI's SMP Division. Thank you for joining me today. Let me start by asking you, what are some of the latest technological developments and advances from your organization?
Thank you for having me, Richard. I guess some of the things that that CPI has come up with in the last little while are the life extender features for the vacuum tube devices, the TWT amplifiers, and as an extension of that, we've actually come up with a life predictor feature that allows the customers to sort of plan out their capital budgeting and allow them to to figure out when they'll need to budget on replacing tubes down the road. The other things that we've been working on are things like advanced measurement capabilities, mostly as a result of the emergence of the new LEO and MEO technologies, where customers are putting more bandwidth through the same amplifiers and doing digital measurements and having us measure EVM and MER and those things that are not typical of or at least not traditionally typical of the Satcom market. And we've been able to address that and come up with new ATE and measuring techniques and so on, along with the LEO and MEO and the wideband signals going through the amplifiers. Some of the things that have cropped up or have needed to be addressed with GaN and solid state in particular are things like memory effect, and we've had a fair bit of effort and work involved in mitigating these effects when you put wideband signals through an amplifier. So our technology is really advanced along quite a ways, and we're able to deal with some of these things. Some of the other things that we've been addressing and working on are moving into airborne markets and so on. And as we'll, I think that as people start flying again, in-flight connectivity and so on will become a big thing in the near future.
So you're involved in a lot of areas, but how has the company established itself as a technology leader?
So the initial CPI offerings, I guess, from back a number of years ago were, vacuum electron devices, amplifiers, VED amplifiers, TWTs, and so on. And over the last number of years, of course, CPI has moved into solid state technology, and of course the digital markets and understanding the LEO markets and understanding the measurement techniques is really gone a long ways towards advancing us as basically one of the leaders in the industry. As part of our portfolio, CPI, as you may or may not know, offers a line of medical equipment or medical X-ray generating machines. And part of the technology with that is the high voltage aspect. So high voltage being used both on the VED side and on the X-ray side. We've established a high voltage center of excellence, and picking up companies along the way, we've really been able to make our product more reliable, make it more easier to produce, higher yield, and so on with this. We also collaborate quite a bit with a lot of universities and academia in terms of both the high voltage stuff and the solid state and amplifiers and linearization techniques and digital modulation and all of that. And we're working with many semiconductor developments towards next generation technology, including higher reliability, better efficiency devices on the solid state side, as well as higher frequency, towards the V band and those areas.
The CPI Satcom technology, is it designed only for niche projects, or can it be applied in other areas?
So, as I mentioned, we started off as a Satcom amplifier manufacturer. In fact, started off making traveling wave tubes and klystrons. And as I mentioned, we have the medical side of things that kind of sprouted off of that because we had the expertise in high voltage and power supplies and so on. Niche is kind of a difficult thing to define, because we seem to fall into these various areas where business makes sense. We've also expanded into instrumentation and amplifiers and that kind of thing, and vice versa. If we're designing an amplifier for a certain specific customer and it makes sense from a business standpoint, we could offer that in a broader sense to a larger market. So, both ways work. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily say that we're a niche manufacturer. It all depends on the business case. It all depends on the return on investment as to where we focus our technology development and our resources.
Well, you mentioned amplifiers, so let's just ask about that. The amplifier technology from CPI, how is it positioned for future applications as the market continues to evolve into new areas?
So we follow we're very, very closely following the LEO and the MEO developments. That's something that obviously seems to be the future of Satcom communications. And so, we definitely are looking at new designs and positioning our designs towards those kinds of markets. And we're watching the requirements. We're working with key customers on what they require, looking at different ways of using the technology to, let's say, address the broadband issue and look at higher frequencies. So we are looking into V-band development as well, and the different areas of linearization for these things, and as well as solid state development, working with the semiconductor houses and sort of coaching them and guiding them on what the requirements are for the typical linearity requirements for these markets. And the other thing, I guess, is, we do have the high power vacuum electronics side of the markets. We're a very, very strong player, probably one or two in the market. I'd say number one in the market. But we also have a very solid line of solid state devices or amplifiers as well.
Staying with the technology, CPI has recently made a number of acquisitions. How has that impacted the technology offered by the company?
We recently acquired the General Dynamics Satcom group, and with that, along with that, came their RF electronics group in State College, Pennsylvania, and they had the product lines with the known for the Quad Mod and the Modumax, a very complementary line of solid state products and low noise amplifiers and so on. And we've, along with that, we've added a very strong R&D design center to our team. So it allows us to look at more opportunities in the future, and look at the possibility of expanding into other areas of Satcom as well. And of course, having the antenna group along with the General Dynamics Sat group, allows us it gives us access to the requirements of mounting outdoor units onto antennas and the requirements of the system integrators and so on. We've also recently added a company called TMD Technologies, which is another complementary vacuum electron device group, and they bring even more expertise. and a lot of synergies along the way, in growing the company out that way. One of the examples of what we've done in the past, when we added MCL to our portfolio, our group, they brought into the mix a technology called QCell, which allowed us to basically have a more reliable and robust high voltage connection and design in our products. So, the more we grow this way, and the more complementary the expertise grows, the better we are at addressing needs in the market as they develop.
Finally, it's been a difficult couple of years, but what are the challenges CPI has identified moving forward?
I guess we've talked about the big thing is the development of the LEO and the MEO markets, which kind of it started and then it kind of plateaued out for a little bit while the global pandemic hit us, but it's now seems to be picking up quite well. Airborne as well is just kind of flattened out in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, but it seems to be also picking up. So we've had to deal with obviously everybody's had to deal with the COVID-19 issue. It'll continue to be an issue, but we've been able to through our employees kind of observe the social distancing, and we've never really been hit hard with that, due to the hardworking employees that we have, and they've been willing to do split shifts so that they maintain their social distancing, and we've been able to keep the production going. The other thing, I guess, really is this now global allocation market, probably mostly as a result of the COVID-19. But one of the advantages that we have is with our corporate structure and our corporate buying power, we've been able to try to stay on top of that. Now, obviously that's still going to be an issue in the next little while, and it's pretty hard to predict how long it's going to last. And I've in my career, we've been through similar issues before, maybe not quite as large as this one seems to be. But we'll come through it in the end, and it definitely is a challenge. Our deliveries could push out. Because we have commonality in some of the sub-assemblies that we put into our amplifiers, we kind of had a stockpile of some components and some assemblies and so on. But eventually that's going to if this global allocation market doesn't resolve itself, then obviously we're gonna run into some problems down the road. We're working up front, and we have been working for some time to try and get around that or mitigate this problem as it goes forward.
Well, John, thank you very much for talking to me today, and hopefully we get an update in the next few months.
My pleasure. My pleasure.